Okay, welcome everyone to the um, Leveraging AI for Maximum Impact in Inventory Management webinar. We will give everyone a few moments to join. We have a lot of people coming in before we jump in to the topic of the day. So while we wait everyone to get in, why don't I start by introducing our two panelists for the day. We have Maxime here from Obius. Maxime is the visionary founder of a company specializing in AI-driven analytics for inventory management, and with expertise in supply chain optimization and technology. Maxime has developed solutions that leverage AI to optimize stock levels and enhance demand forecasting, reduce waste for businesses of all sizes. And his approach focuses on using AI to create actionable insights, enabling companies to make smarter and data-driven decisions to streamline their supply chains.
Thank you, Rika. Happy to be here.
And then we have Reinhard from Katana. Reinhard serves as product manager, Katana Cloud Inventory, a comprehensive cloud-based inventory management software provider. And he, in turn, has deep expertise in manufacturing and supply chain management and leads the development of AI-enhanced features here at Katana, helping manufacturers maintain efficient inventory and improve production planning and achieve operational transparency. Reiner's work centers on delivering accessible and scalable solutions and very actionable solutions to empower SMBs to grow and handle their inventory. Welcome, Reiner.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So thank you all for joining. Without further ado, I think we now have most of our guests in as well. We're going to dive right into the topic. If you have questions while we are speaking, feel free to submit the questions in the Q&A at the bottom. We'll try to get to as many of those as we can, both throughout the session, but especially towards the end. And with that, let's fire away. Let's start with how do you see the current landscape of how AI has transformed traditional inventory management practices, and specifically, can you name two things that you've seen shift in the just past year or so? What is different?
Mm-hmm. And I could start, Rika. So I see that really AI is transforming inventory management by the ability of analyzing more larger sets, more complex data, and it's driving a result, right? So it allowed to see trends that are sometimes overlooked. Concrete impact on that, we can see it on optimized inventory level, reduction of overstocking, more accurate forecasting as well. The two things that I see that shift in the past 2 years are really the development of more sophisticated algorithm, especially with machine learning ability right now. And the second thing is really workflow automation. So going past the analysis of data and the insights, but also really on creation of value in the process as well. So avoiding the repetitive administrative task and allowing the team member really to focus on more value-added tasks. So those are the two trends that I'm seeing in the past 2 years.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's fascinating that it is so many different facets of it. It's never just one thing, is it? Rainer, how about you? What's your view on this?
Yeah, it's been definitely very interesting, let's say, roller coaster ride over the last 2 years, I would say, has been definitely a growth in how AI has been used. And I think the first thing is accessibility. First, previously, maybe in the times of Industry 4.0 from 2010, it wasn't so accessible. We're talking about machine learning. We're talking about artificial intelligence of building models and running them. It's resourceful. It's only for companies who have the know-how, who have the money for it. But right now, we know tools like ChatGPT is accessible to anyone. And this is a tool that you can use at things for home, things for work as well. So I think that is the fundamental change that we're seeing right now. Everyone can access a tool that is AI powered. Of course, this is a general purpose tool, but we will go later on, I guess, in our discussion on how to actually utilize the tools that these LLMs are providing. And if I say LLMs, then these are the large language models that are trained on a lot of textual data. They're not very perfect on making analysis of a forecast, but they know context. And if you apply them in a way that they would have the knowledge and the tools to make a forecast, that's really powerful case, I think, there.
Yeah, if I may add as well, Reynard, I totally agree with you. And I think like we really switched in the past few years from more theoretical application to really more use case driven, like really specific on how AI can concretely bring value with specific use case. And I think that's super, super exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I think previously, when we talk about machine learning applications, and I've been part of multiple projects as well, building forecasting, building predictive maintenance. It's really statistics and machine learning heavy, and it's very use case related. And you only evaluate the probability of that use case being valuable. But when we do talk about the LLMs, then you have use cases that are much more generic.
Hmm.
For example, simple use cases I like what Shopify has been doing, like generating a summary of your item description.
Hmm.
Something that has been done for a long time, it helps you. It's
Hmm.
not a super specific case for calculating how accurate your forecast is, but it helps you to get 80% of the work done. So I think that's the automation point we need to, what you mentioned as well. It's automating those really tedious, the mundane tasks, and that's why the hype is all around there as well. And that's something you need to encapsulate and try to use it as well.
Hmm.
For sure. I mean, Maxime, you mentioned that kind of efficiency increase, but you also mentioned kind of the ability for AI to help us get to more accurate forecasting and really drill down into those details. So tell us a little bit about Obius's approach to AI-driven analytics. What is it that you do?
Yeah, for sure. And Obvious mission is really to drive better supply chain decision with better data. It all start with data. And in order to have efficient AI, you really need to have very good structured data, good quality data that is constantly updated. And our approach is really, based on specific use case of the clients. So we really tailor approach on what are the top priorities, what are the high priority, high value problem that we can help them solve. It's really, really important for us to not really have a generic one-size-fits-all approach, but really specific down to their priorities. The key pillar of our approach is really first step, data assessment. It all starts with the data, making sure that we have accessibility to data, clean data, up-to-date data. Once we have that in place, we can go with the data enhancement. So we really look at, can we add some more information into the data sets? Is there any other external data set on, pricing history or customer behaviors or weather data sets that we can add to increase the accuracy and the length of the forecast as well, or any of the needs that we need to resolve. And the best way to accelerate that, it's to start with already a system in place that has high quality, well-structured data, and that's why we work and we like to work closely with Katana customers because obviously data is super accessible, it's already well-structured, it's easy to maintain and update. So for us, it's really easy to increase the maturity of the AI in an enterprise and with our customers when we have system in place like Katana. So when we start with customers that have fragmented data sets and many system not well maintained, it kind of like increase the scope of the project and the complexity of the project. So that's really how we help our customer to implement AI.
It's amazing to hear. We, of course, love to hear the stories of how Katana helps also with the ecosystem to build around it. Um, but we've also built some pretty cool things at Katana around AI. So, Rainer, how about you? Like, what is your approach to AI specifically in Katana platform?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I'm trying to keep myself down, but I think in Katana we do see like a major impact on how these focusing on the LLM usage specifically. How does that has an impact on the future of how work is being done? So in that sense, as I said, those really small tasks that can be automated inside of a software. So as humans, we have always developed tools that make our lives better. Katana is one tool, and that AI is one tool. Then so we do see that the interaction of how you use software and multiple of softwares will be changing because of this. And what I've said as well before, a really good example of this is imagine what Microsoft has been launching, the recall function that maybe as a privacy thing is not so good, that it makes a screenshot of your computer use every couple of seconds. But imagine what the resource is in there. I can go ask my computer, what did I do on that day? Find me this information, and it's there. I'm not spending time on like searching for things. So I do see there's a shift that needs to be done in getting there. But let me get back to the question. So what we're focusing on Katana is making the first step here on exploring on how we can allow SMBs use their data. And the first step there is asking your data in a natural language and then bringing them an answer. For example, what are the top best-selling products? How much stock I should reorder? And feeding the information to the LLM model. So it will make the analysis and provide the best suggestion based on that. We know the issues what the LLMs are providing. Reliability might be one of them, but that's the first step we can do. And I think the benefits are over there is that it's something personal, it's something custom that you can use the software for yourself. It's not one thing for everyone that does work in this way. But with an LLM, you can think of it's an assistant for you. Whatever you want to ask from it, it will try to answer in a way that you ask for it. So we are bringing the attention to the mess of the data, what Maxime mentioned as well. That's the main part of it. You need to kind of go through hundreds, if not thousands of orders in a month. And how do you recognize which one is the one that might have a problem, or which one is the one that you should be focusing on?
Oh, for sure. I think Rainer touched the the elephant in the room, so I'm going to ask Maxime this as well, like the data reliability issue, the accuracy issue, especially when we get to things like analytics and forecasting and demand planning. How do you see that? How do you approach that? Is that a real concern for companies right now?
Uh, yeah, it can be, it can be a challenge. And sometimes it's really, it's a mix of things. It could be a technical problem or a technical challenge where we see that the data is not necessarily available or in people's mind, but, it could be also, I would say, sometimes a change management problem where, we don't necessarily we don't want to, embrace the change, right? So there's always that. In terms of data quality, now with the advance in AI, we're able to analyze larger sum of data. We're able to see trends where we didn't see trends before. So even though the data quality, there might be some challenge or difficulties around that, there's way to overcome it. Obviously, it's always better to have data quality that are super good and well maintained, but there's way around it with the new ability to go beyond the challenge around data quality.
Data is the like utmost importance in there. Just I have had experience building analytics solutions before as well, and whatever you put in the system, it does not make it prettier. It will show
Yeah,
exactly what is in the system. So it needs to
definitely.
either clean it or change the process a little bit. So you do archive some items, you clean certain things, and a lot of outliers that happen in the business, which is normal as well. You don't predict. These need to be cleaned as well when you're doing forecasting eventually. So I would say, like for Maxime as well, probably you're doing a lot of data cleaning before processing for forecasting as well, which is usually a normal part of every forecasting project in itself as well.
Yeah, I agree, Renard. And one other thing I would add on that is that some of the best practice we've seen in like when I was VP operation, leading manufacturing business, but also as implementing AI is having a dedicated data owner in a company for each of the data set, right? It doesn't have to be a full-time position. It could be a part-time, responsibility or accountable task, but it's super important. So that person would, for example, take care of the item master and the, default purchase price, supplier information and so forth. And that helps to keep that, data quality across time and maintain it basically. So that's something that is that was really, really important that made the project successful in the past.
Do you find that SMBs have that? We have an anonymous audience here. So, like, what's the status of SMBs? Do they have that, or is that something that they can improve on?
It's really a challenge because of the the large priorities and making sure that we deliver. And I know the struggle. When I was at Good Food, we grow really, really fast. When I started, I had a team of about 100 people. We were, maybe 20 millions of yearly revenue, and in only 3 years, my team grew to 2,000 people, and revenue were almost $500 million. So the focus was really on delivering value to our client to make sure that we were, shipping our box and our product to our customer to make them happy. But the way I really, shared with my team was really, it's an investment. It's an investment of time that, sometimes you don't see necessarily the short-term value of maintaining the data and making sure it's high quality, but it will pay back. It will pay back, and it has to be a leadership commitment on, making it a priority, and making sure that your team is taking the time to invest in that as well. Because short term, you might not see the benefits. Mid to long term, you will see the benefits for sure. So yes, it's challenging amongst all the other priorities of running a SMB business, but it's really, there's a good payback there.
Exactly. You'll see the benefits or you will feel the pain. That's
Exactly.
my experience. Um, and so this is really about the internal processes and workflows that companies have within. We touched on this already at the beginning. With AI, we can also start to bring efficiency to those internal processes. We can help with things like automating some of the more manual, mundane tasks. So I know, Rainar, that is an area that you've been working on, how can AI and machine learning enhance automation, especially in inventory management?
It's definitely an area that will be a breakthrough at one point. Nobody really has broken it through right now. It's been called agentic workflow or multi-agent workflows. And how it works is that you can imagine you have a ChatGPT whose task is to create the sales order in Katana. Then you have another agent in written in with the instructions in ChatGPT to check for prices. So how it would work is that you connect those two different agents together, and they would be aware of each other and would be able to call out each other. You can think of as real employees doing a certain very limited task. And I think that's where things are going to. There's first starts of seeing it happening within different softwares. And I think that's what we're doing in Katana as well. We're putting out the first tools and the first things to enable such multi-agent workflows. It might sound complex, and I just want to say, like, we're on the same journey as all the SMBs are. And we're just here to kind of help you to bring out the value. You don't have to bring those agents ourselves. We have the knowledge of the data, and we might be on the same level of knowledge on how to utilize these agents, but we're building and testing these out for you. So what we have built in Katana right now is like a very simple, basic agent that can take input of an email text, which is unstructured, and then it knows how to create a sales order in Katana. If you give that email to that agent, it will find who's the customer. It will find what are the products, what's the quantities, whatever other information on that sales order exists that needs to go into Katana. And now imagine there's multiple of these agents who can search for stock levels, generate the purchase order. Then you can bring this automation in it. If there's no enough inventory on that item, then go ask this purchase agent to make a purchase order, and then you have a purchase put up already. So yes, there has been before tools called these robotic process automations, which you kind of automate the clicks. That's also a way to kind of build the automations within a software, and it's commonly being done on different Excel transformation. You have a lot of data, you want to transform it in something else, or you want to put it into another system. But imagine now telling the agent again, okay, here is my data. I want to get it being done this way, and it will do it for you. And that was my revelation as well, just last week. I know ChatGPT is not so good at analyzing data because it's not meant for that. It's meant for predicting what's the best next word. Yeah. Right. But it's not very good at predicting, making a large scale analysis of the data. I just gave it a try. Analyze a big 1,000 rows Excel for me. So not anymore, it doesn't try to analyze what is in there, but it writes code in its set to analyze and count things. And based on that, it will make a summary of what is in there. So it's not relying on just looking what is in the data, but it can write code or a script to do that. So that's something I urge people to try out as well. If you have an Excel file, put it in ChatGPT, ask what you would like the output to be, and it will do that as best as it can. So you again saving time on Excel formulas or transforming data already using AI. So
yeah.
It's super exciting actually having kind of like let's say an internal chat GDP connected to the database and the data, and not only the purchasing order, let's say database, but also suppliers, history level. And then it really becomes a virtual operation analyst, basically, that can proactively give you insights on, take action on this, your stock level are low, or your price increase. Maybe you should change your supplier because there's another supplier that have better price historically in the past. So it's really those specific use cases that will continue to add on. I'm super excited about that. It will really remove kind of like the Excel data extraction from different system, kind of like VLOOKUP, pivot table analysis time on just trying to get the data right before we can have any insight or be able to take any action. So I think that's super excited to see those virtual operation assistant taking place, actually. Very, very exciting.
And I'm going to ask Reinhard to give us a sneak peek a little later on what that actually looks like and what's already running on Katana platform so that you can all see. But before we jump into that, let me also just ask on a very practical level, what do SMBs need to do in order to get started? We talked about data quality and the dependency of having good quality data, but what other kind of common challenges do SMBs usually face, and how do you help them overcome those? Maxime, you could start.
Yeah, and I think it really starts with awareness and awareness from the leadership and interest into making things differently. So concretely, it has to be embedded in the strategy of like we need to improve and having this desire of changing the way things are done. So once the priority and the will of the leadership in the company is there, then it's to create time in the schedule as any important project. It's really to dedicate time in order to do it. So that could be really some data cleaning. It could be also with technology implementation, whether it's CRP, MRP, and really involve people in the process. So AI is really cross-functional. So even though you might want to implement AI in operation or inventory management or manufacturing, you still need to involve finance people, still need to involve marketing people because everything is interrelated. So that's why the leadership willingness is really important in order to create the time for each of those teams to be involved in those transformation projects. So that one way of doing it, and more concretely, it's always good to get help, external help, because teams are really busy. So don't hesitate to look for expert, for partner, for anybody that can help you achieve that and implement that. So it's really the two things that I see, setting the priority internally, get some external help. And the third thing I would add on that is there's tons of, and I'm speaking for the Canadian folks here as well. So there's a lot of grant for the government for innovative technology implementation. So get external support to finance those projects. There's sometimes grant available that will reduce the financial impact of those projects. So that can help to alleviate some of the costs of those projects. Even though there's good payback, it has some short-term cash flow impact. So that could help to alleviate that.
Very good
Yeah,
point.
I agree with all of it. You need to have kind of a understanding of priorities in the company of do we need this and do we want this? But I think it also comes down to making a bet on trying it out because all of AI, all of machine learning is probability based. Previously, I've been in multiple projects of forecasting, and some of the items are not forecastable because it's random.
Mm-hmm.
But that's already a knowledge that you can just use an average to forecast that item. So I think it's a matter of trying. And I think the best way for SMBs to try things is either use the accessible tools that are really, really easy to implement, or if inside of a tool that you're using has a functionality that could potentially help, try to implement it, try to figure out how that would use. Just as a product manager, I see as well how it's being used, and I want that to be better. If it's kind of felt like, okay, just another chatbot, then this is the first step to get there. We don't want to build just another chatbot. We want to learn how it is performing, how is it actually getting better, and how we can kind of evolve this into a more natural ways of working. Maybe this ways of working will actually change, that we'll have chatbots and everything. I don't know.
I really like your comment, Renner, on the trial and error, and I think it's really appropriate for any innovation, right? When you implement or want to do something really differently, like you need to be in that mindset of trial and error, and let's tweak it and try it, and fast iteration loop. So really, definitely.
Oh, for sure. And we know that the early adopters usually then also reap rewards and grow faster, but there is a cost to that, like you said, Maxime. This can get expensive, or can it? Like, how can we ensure, and how can how can more specifically Katana and Obius make sure that what we've discussed today is actually accessible for SMBs? And how can we make sure that it's also scalable?
I would say it all starts with, understanding the return on investment. It's really that, because yes, there's cost associated to it, but there's improvement that will drive cost savings. So it's really nailing down into what are the concrete benefits of it, like measurable KPI that we'll achieve with, let's say the implementation of Katana, with the implementation of AI, or any other project. So once you have that, it really helps to understand why and how, and more why we should work on that. And in terms of cost effectiveness, I would say let's go with, like, I like to have the step function approach. And I like to compare it to the crawl, walk, run analogy as well, right? If a company is working and buying out of Excels, you don't necessarily need to have the perfect ERP fully integrated across all function, from the get-go. That's a big step, right? It's a big chunk to swallow. So let's go with the iterative step function, implement a system that can do very well, help you improve and get to that step. And then you can go to the other level of maturity, whether with AI or any other complement technology. And what I like with Katana and our solution as well is that it allows to have this really fast, innovative, kind of like fast value approach, where simple to implement, easy to use, and then very quickly we can get to the payback, even though there's a cost. So that's how I approach it typically.
If I can add anything, then but I just want to put 2 feet on the ground as well. Like, don't do AI because of AI.
Mhm.
Try to solve a problem. If
Mhm.
you have too much unpredictability, then maybe forecasting is for you, but maybe something else is out there for you.
Mhm.
You need to cut costs, then maybe automation is for you. Maybe it's something else. So to try to solve an actual problem, and then not to implement just technology for the technology.
Mhm.
So that's why the trial and error, I need to explore to understand how the technology works. And that's why I'm saying as well, it's never been that accessible as it is.
Very true. And I think we kind of get blindsided by all the possibilities that AI does provide. It's very easy to get caught up in it. And I guess let's end with that question of, well, how do we now, what are we going to focus on next? What is on the roadmap? What are the future visions for you guys on what AI can help us solve, or where it will be most valuable in the next few years in the realm of inventory management?
Yeah, for me is really workflow automation. So increasing the number of use case where we can actually automate some of the tasks, as well as increasing the depth really of what it can do. And you mentioned, Reynard, previously, like the RPA, so robot process automation. And I think AI will bring that to the next level, right? So I've used RPA in the past to automate some of the process, and having the being able to see that just in a few years, we'll be able to create those RPA process, robotic process automation, with just a prompt, or
Yeah.
having pre-built prompt actually that will help us to execute on those specific use case or task. So I could see, for example, not having to do any purchase order, and having purchase order created automatically, not having to review the cost, the full purchase costs, of some of our item, but having it updated automatically. So, that's super exciting to see that all those administrative tasks will be automated. So for me, that's what I'm really I'm exciting to see in the next few years.
And on my side, I think even it's really hard to predict a few years. it's been changing so rapidly. But what now? For 2 years, the hype of the ChatGPTs and LLM has been high. We do see overall, if we look at general software market, and everyone's trying to do something, and there's kind of a vision of a vertical AI, which means that it will automate the tasks of a very specific job of a salesperson or a job of a purchase manager. And this will mean that what I said before, there's those small agents that help you to do the work. And I think that's maybe in the near few years. But if you think a little bit ahead, and instead maybe having a purchaser in a company or a salesperson in a company, the owner of the company will ask the software, hey, I need right product, right time at the right cost. Do it. And that software will understand what it needs to do, has the capabilities of contacting suppliers, finding the materials, agreeing when things need to be back in the stock. And it's hard to say when this will be happening. I'm not that level of an expert, but I would see first steps towards that are definitely in the coming years. In the short term, what we're doing in Katana is, as we mentioned before, data and making data accessible. This is already valuable for the SMBs itself, just to understand and have a better understanding what is in the data. But second thing, those same agents eventually need to access this data as well in a reliable and secure manner. So in the short term, that's on the roadmap for us.
Perfect. We do have a few questions on the Q&A. Please feel free to keep them coming. I think we'll actually end up answering quite a few of these when Rainar presents what we already have in the Katana platform. Things like what data are we using currently, and what is in the roadmap for the future. But there's one here that I just wanted specifically, Rainar, to give to you. And I guess more broadly also to Maxime, is mapping data across different platforms. That's something that our customers seem to find is currently an issue and a really practical use case for AI when trying to map data from WooCommerce to Katana, for example. Is it in the near future that we can take any data and intelligently map it across different platforms?
This is a very interesting question, Rika, because those are some of the use cases that we're working with a client, and I would say specifically in manufacturing as well. So integrated data between two platforms. So yes, it's coming up very soon, I would say. And I think there's more complexity, and I was seeing question on inventory in manufacturing in the Q&A. So I think there's even more complexity when you actually manufacture the goods, having really the arborescence and the bill of materials. When you need to translate that data, there's even more complexity, and we're seeing some potential solution. And on our part, we're working as well with some of our clients to develop something along those lines. But yes, I see that in the next year or so, we'll have solution, and there will be solution available on the market for sure.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think that's kind of the blessing and the curse of nowadays having different systems and how do they operate between each other. So I think we have good tools that do that, Zapier and Make, and some of them connect to Katana as well, and you can exchange the data in between. But still, this means that the data is living in two systems. Sometimes I've been seeing solutions where you collect the data from different systems into one database, kind of a structured database. Sure, that's maybe more advanced, but that might solve the issue of having some part of the customer info in one place and some part of the customer info in another place. But will it be solved in a few years? I guess what it needs to be solved there is the question. But general the challenge is still in a sense of bringing automation into tools. Each of them will have their own automation. How do you link those between, for example, Katana has their own kind of Kai and AI assistant, and Intuit and QuickBooks has their own. But some of the data that they're sharing, so I think that's the bigger challenge to solve, how those two can actually connect and talk to each other. That's really interesting.
And I think right now with the use cases set up, then the ability of AI to improve and learn from the use is really exciting to improve accuracy as well and quality of the data. Yeah.
Exactly. Jason from our audience is sharing that they had to create a full record of truth and push consistent data to each of their 6 pieces of software via Make. So that's one way to solve it. It's encouraging to see that companies are actually actively trying to find solutions to this. Just for the interest of time, why don't we let Rainer show what has been cooking in the Katana kitchen and what you can automate through AI with Katana's Kai.
So let me introduce you to Kai. Let me share the screen. I hope you see the screen now.
Yes.
So as an introduction, as I said, we are also on a journey to find the best use cases and kind of bring the value to SMBs of using AI-powered solutions. Right now, we have developed kind of the beta version of Kai, which stands for then Katana AI Assistant. I'm just going to walk you through how it would potentially help a user using Katana doing sales order fulfillment specifically. We have not expanded it into, let's say, purchasing or other parts of Katana, but specifically someone who's dealing with making sure that the sales order list is correct, looking at it every morning, getting sales orders in, and then maybe asking a question of what has been performing, what's not been performing. So we have added a sole summary of what's happening in my sales order list on top of the sales order screen. How this works is that it takes input multiple parameters of what has happened in the past with sales orders, and it's also taking input of what is active in the sales orders. So right now, I have my demo account here, of course, but in a short format, it summarizes immediate action required. There's one high value order, some of the items, some of the orders that are being blocked, and something else general, what it will kind of provide. So if I want to get more insights about it, I can go ahead and it will be more detailed information. What is being blocked? What is being delayed? Some of it, of course, you can see it on the sales screen itself, but imagine not having 7 orders, but 70 orders. And the summary itself is bringing out what is important. And that's kind of the job of this assistant here. So it works here, trying to summarize and give input of what is important today, what is important maybe in a little bit of mid to long term. What other thing, as I mentioned before, we want to give access to the data. So we have added here a way to ask about the data. Right now, it's also limited to sales orders itself. You cannot ask about inventory or purchasing yet, but I could go ahead and try here. So now I'm asking Kai to show me the revenue by product category in a bar chart. We'll go fetch the data and generate me a bar chart. So right now it's showing revenue of this product category over the past 13 months. These are the prompts that we have added, but you can go ahead and ask what are my most profitable products. It will think a bit. All right, so profit by item SKU. And see which are the most profitable items. So lounge chair, I guess, is the most profitable I have had here. So in a short manner, you can ask anything. It will try to get the best answer you can based on the sales order data. It cannot do super complex analysis yet, but that's the way we're going to. So this is one of the kind of the assistants that we have developed. Another one is we wanted to try out on how we can help getting the kind of manual tasks quicker in Katana. So we know a lot of orders are coming in from e-commerce channels, but do some of them come in from a email or any other unstructured source as well? You can actually go ahead in creating a manual sales order. There's a little Kai assist here that will help you to create that sales order. So as I said before, you have an unstructured text. Right now it's only text, but going to be attachment soon as well that you can upload a PDF. I have a text here. So I just enter in a text of a potential email that I had, and this I now will go try to match based on this email text. If I have these items, if it understands who's the customer, I'll take a little bit of time and say, okay, I created an order. Let's go seek. So we're right now generating a quote just in case. It can sure make some of the mistakes. You need to always be kind of human in the loop and understand if everything is correct. But I know what was in the email. It found the correct customer. It has the right items. So I urge you to try it out. Use as much as the thumbs up, thumbs down as well, because that's the way it learns and understands. Or you can directly kind of say, hey, this is good. And we know that you actually get value out of it. So we are also exploring. So now it's trying to generate another one. So really excited kind of to see where we're going. We do want to generate more different insights based on the different data sources. So that's going to be our next step here. So that's it.
Thank you, Rainer. Super exciting to see Kai in action. Why don't we end with you gave me a perfect segue there for the last question from our audience. Kai is diving into customer data right now, or the data of the company operating Katana. But can you push data via API to Kai?
Not at this point. It is using data that is in Katana. Data accessibility is a topic that we're looking actively at. And we do see that first we need to better solve on the back end on how it accesses overall data that is in Katana. Pushing in extra data, I think it's a next step.
Yeah, exactly. How about adding a little bit more of finesse into that sales email order? We have a question here that in addition to sales orders, what if we get change requests from via email when a customer says, move the delivery date up? Is Kai able to make changes to sales orders as well?
Not at the moment, not able to make changes, but as an honest product manager, I have added in the backlog. So we do see this as being a good opportunity. Right now, we see that maybe the better opportunity is to cut the copy paste part and directly integrate to an email. So if that would be valuable, then you can reach out to me and let me know, and we can kind of test it in a few weeks already.
Exactly. Oh gosh, I love the development speed here. This is how we roll at Katana. Lots of new exciting features coming in the very, very near future. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. I hope you will be testing out Kai in the Katana platform, and more information, of course, at katanamrp.com. Thank you all for joining today, and thank you, Maxime and Rainer, for the conversation.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.